Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. I, Mehak Dhiman, your host for the day, would like to welcome you all. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. Our topic for the day is Empathy Map in Education, and to express her viewpoints on the same, we have with us Miss Vadera ma'am, Head of Early Years, Shiv Nadar School, Gurgaon. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mehak.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out your time for us. It's an honor to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Mehak. Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, speaking of empathy map, if you could explain us what is an empathy map in education and why is it important in education, ma'am?
Sure. Thank you, Mehak. Firstly, good morning, everyone. And I hope that this session is useful and you go back some of the good practices, you take back some good practices to your classrooms. So, coming back to the first question, what is an empathy map and why is it important in education? I would like to say that empathy map is a design thinking tool and can be effectively used in teaching and learning as well. So, in terms of, say, we all know what empathy means, right? It's like putting yourself in someone else's shoes and feeling their experiences from their eyes, right? Without actually putting in any imagination or biases of our own. And what empathy in education means is we all would remember at least some of our lessons, which would have been very memorable for all of you. Maybe because children could resonate with the content that you shared, or the lessons were really fun for them. They were very engaging. So maybe this could be one of the reasons why they enjoyed the lesson. But beyond that, there is something which led to this the lessons to be more memorable, because most of them would have been planned or designed with a lot of empathy and by considering the needs of the students. Now, coming back to another important term apart from empathy, maps, which is then we'll talk more about empathy maps. So, maps, if I talk about, it's a tool which shows us the direction and helps us reach our destination, maybe safely and timely. So, if I put it together, it would more to do with reaching our destination by adopting more empathetic approach is what I would like to say in one sentence. That's what empathy maps are about. Now, what are they, right? So empathy maps, they help us gather, I would say, organize and analyze information about our students and colleagues. Now, this helps also in building good connect with our students by understanding their feelings and their perspectives. Mehak, can you please share the PPT? Can we go to the slide so that it's easier for the audience to understand?
Absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, what is an empathy map? So, if I look at empathy map very carefully, it has got 4 quadrants, right? 4 quadrants. The next one, Mehak, please. Thank you. Yeah, it's a very structured tool. Like I said, it's very organized, and this information goes in these 4 quadrants. Now, these 4 quadrants are say, do, think, and feel. So, what happens here? Firstly, we have to identify that for whom do we want to use the empathy map. It can be for anyone whom you want to gather more information or learn more about your students. It could be about a student or a colleague, like I said. It could also be if you want to provide a support in learning or you want to provide an intervention strategy anywhere. And it helps us to focus on a specific person where an intervention is needed. So, first is identification of that student, person, or a colleague, right? And then we try to put the information that we know in these four quadrants. Now, say, what does say mean here? What all that's to, this is very explicit. So, say and does, these are very explicit because you get to see it, you can observe it, and you put it verbatim there. Now, think and feel are implicit because you infer and conclude and put it there. So, what you may think your student is thinking at that moment. So, that goes in thinking. And what do you think the student may be feeling? It helps you form those connects deeper. So, when it talks about feeling, you get to feel the experience the student or your colleague or your peer is going through, and so that we do not add biases or assumptions to it, we make sure that we collect the information from different sources. Now, different sources can be learning map, which you would have created earlier. It could be another teacher uh, from whom you can gather more information about the student. It can be some documentation, some anecdotes, some of your observations. It can be anything that helps you get deep and get more information so that you can clearly see the contrast, conflict, further discuss anything that needs to be collaborated or anything that you want to go deeper and find more information. If there's something that's not matching what you see and what the child does or what you think, then you would want to go back, meet few people, find more details. So all that you do and you put that in the empathy map. Now, so there are four steps to it. Again, we'll sum it up. The first is that
Ma'am, I'm
we
sorry. I would,
identify.
request you to stop, please. I guess there is, a black screen. The moment we are live, they're not able to, view the presentation. Is it possible if you could share this from your end, maybe?
All right, it cannot be seen. All
Yes, ma'am.
right, let me just try 1 minute. I'm so sorry for that. That's possible. 1 minute. Give me a minute, please. I'm unable to share.
I have given you sharing rights.
Would you like to? Would you like to share?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Would you like to share once again, Meher?
Yes, ma'am.
Just try, please. Can they see now?
Just no, ma'am. It's a complete black screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry for this. How come it's not? Mhm. Are they able to see now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Okay. So, yes. Can we see now?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
we see the yeah? So, can we see the four quadrants? Do I repeat? So, these four quadrants is about say, think, does, and feel. Say and does are very explicit. We gather information through what we see and what we observe. And think and feel, it is more to do about what we infer and we conclude from what we have seen, what it says and does so far. So, what happens is that the steps that are required while creating an empathy map here are the first one is that you identify the student or a colleague or a peer for whom you want to create an empathy map. Step two is you draw a learner profile. That is a persona you make for that learner. What whatever you know about that person. For example, you feel that the person isn't so and so grade, or the person is attentive, the student is distracted, whatever you know, and you gather information, like I said, from different sources here. And then you put in what you think that the subject is thinking about and how the subject is feeling. After putting all that information on the empathy map, you try to look for patterns and themes. Once you have this visual representation, it's easier to find patterns and themes. And then you might be able to also, it also surfaces out that, what is it that's not matching my observation from maybe my documentation, my journey? What is it that needs more collaboration? What is it that I need to dive deep and find more about? So this is how an empathy map looks like. And final step is then we draw action plan based on this visual representation. I hope what empathy maps are clear to the audience.
Yes, ma'am.
We can move on to the next. To the next question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was wonderfully explained. Moving forward, ma'am, could you also explain how is it an effective tool, as you were just mentioning, in the classroom practice, ma'am?
Yeah. So, yes, Mehak, it's quite an effective tool in classroom practice because it helps you first deeply connect with your student, and it increases student engagement, helps to develop positive relationships, and also promotes well-being of the students. Now it can be used by the teachers for students, like I said, to gather more information about any particular student or a learner. It can be used when you feel there is a behavior support that a child may need. And it can be also used as a strategy for academic intervention. It can be used by students for other students as well. For example, if you have a new student who's going to join the class, you would really want other students to make that child comfortable. You can use empathy map, ask students to fill up these in groups. Maybe they can collaborate, they can think and create empathy map there. They can talk about, okay, what that student might feel when the student joins, what that student might say, might think, might do, and then as an action plan for themselves, that okay, if we do this, then maybe we will be able to make that child feel comfortable. It can also be used as a reflection tool by the students for themselves. If in case there, if the child wants to reflect on a particular behavior, for example, a child has broken a class rule and would like to reflect, this becomes a very pertinent tool for that student also, because the student can then fill in that, what did I say, what did I do, what was I thinking at that time, what was I feeling at that time, and might think, yeah, maybe I could have done it differently. So that's how it becomes a reflection tool as well. And then it can also be used in academic learning. That maybe, if you're doing a narrative writing, you can ask your children to use this and create a sketch about a character. So there are these different ways which it can be used in a classroom. I think I have tried to put one example here so that it's more relatable to the audience. So this is a classroom scenario that I have just put in here, and we're going to create a empathy map, keeping in mind all the 4 steps that we have just spoken about. So this is a classroom scenario. So Ricky, the teacher is there, the student is there. So the teacher says that, Ricky, would you like to read the first 2 sentences on your worksheet, please? So Ricky says, no, I don't like reading and I will not read. I will sit with my friend and she will read to me. The teacher says, Ricky, then there was a deadline to finish this. And Ricky says, I don't like deadlines. My parents send me to school, but I don't like coming to school. I hate reading. You cannot force me to read. And the teacher says, Ricky, if you can put in half of the energy in your schoolwork. And she says, you cannot force me to do that. I don't like it. I will not read. Let's see. The first step now we have to identify for whom we need to create the empathy map. So here we want to create the empathy map for Ricky. And the first thing is that we have to create learner's persona. We have to write all the details, feed in all the details that we know about the child. So the child, of course, which is very, very explicit, is like I said, say and does. So when we talk about the student, she's a first grader, very active, because that is something I have observed and I can see. Now she likes to play, she likes to join and sing during the circle time songs, make different models using blocks. Tends to interrupt is also what the teacher's observation has been, and so she's filled in here, and she would have also maybe gathered little information from other sources, like I said earlier. She likes to talk to others as well. Now, what I think about Ricky, I will feed in here again. This information is not my own information only, but again taken from different sources because we want to reduce assumptions and biases completely. So knowing that she likes to join in during the circle time songs, she's very imaginative, she's very musical, she's creative, and she feels, I have often seen through my journey map or again my documentations, that she needs affection and attention. She feels the need to express. Right? Now, my next step would be creating empathy map for Ricky. Now, what do I do here? In the says quadrant, I fill in all that I have heard. I have heard her saying that I don't like it. You cannot force me. I do not like deadlines. These are the things which she has said. Now, what she does, she's protesting. She's against reading. She doesn't want to. She's not enjoying it. And she often disrupts the class flow. She also distracts the peers. Now, what I think, again, like I said, this is from various sources. I see that, learning is not fun for her, is what I feel. She's not interested in reading. She feels bored. She feels upset. She's angry at times. And she feels that she's restricted. Maybe she wants to go and talk about something to the other child and doesn't want to do reading at all. So I'm putting myself in Ricky's shoes when I am putting information on the empathy map. It's a very visual representation. Now, next step is that I need to pause, I need to reflect and look all that I have on my empathy map. Because now, if there is anything which is not is conflicting with my information, earlier information, then I need to dig in deep. I need to find more information, interview more people, talk to more people around to know Ricky better. And if it is fine and I'm happy with what I have put in there, then I draw a plan of action for myself. Then I see there are key insights here which I list down, that maybe the lessons are not as engaging for her. Maybe Ricky is not actively listening. And what is it that I can tweak in my plans that will help her to be more engaged? Maybe also Ricky is not able to articulate or acknowledge that why she does not like to read and why is she asking for a support from her friend. Maybe she's yet not there, and there is a need for intervention there. So it's a tool that helps you identify the need of the child by connecting to the child, by feeling what the child or your peer is feeling. So I think that is all I have for today, Meg. I hope that was useful for the audience.
Thank you so much, Vandana ma'am. It was, a very wonderful explanation you just gave out on empathy map, what an empathy map is, and how can we, how is it a creative and effective tool in education. Thank you so much, ma'am, again.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And for all the viewers watching us out, do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.